Welcome back to the Unitarian Congregation of Mendon with Reverend Patricia Hatch. My name is Matthew Merritt. I'm going to start off today with Reverie by Debussy.
Good morning, and welcome again to the Unitarian Congregation of Mendon and Uxbridge. It's good to be with you all today, even in this virtual format. Today's opening words are a call to worship that I borrowed from First Parish Milton, Unitarian Universalist. Come, let us gather. We gather to celebrate the sacred within and among us. We come to seek spiritual growth and understanding. We strive to practice forgiveness, acceptance, and love. Together, we work to build a world with justice and compassion. Come, let us gather together. I would like to invite Melissa to come forward and light the chalice for us. May this flame kindle within us the warmth of compassion, the glow of love, and the light of commitment. And let us join in the affirmation of this church. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. In a typical service, we have candles of joy and concern at this time. However, in this virtual format, we will have the joys and concerns at the end of the service. So you all are invited to write in your concerns and joys, those things you'd like to share, either in the chat on YouTube or on the contact form on the website. And I will light candles for those things at the end of the service. We will have our opening hymn, which is Gather the Spirit. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Today's story is an old folk tale, author unknown, which I've adapted a little bit. Madison and David and their parents were exploring a cave while they were on vacation. As they were having fun exploring inside the cave, all of a sudden they heard a noise. They saw rocks and dirt falling down in the tunnel behind them. That was the tunnel they had just come through on their way in. More and more rocks and dirt fell. Madison yelled, "We're trapped!" And sure enough, they were trapped. The way out was completely blocked. Mom and Dad both started shining their flashlights around, and the rumbling stopped. The sounds of falling debris stopped. The family was safe, but definitely trapped. They had to figure a way out. They hadn't brought any shovels with them. Mom and Dad said they would just have to dig their way out with their hands. They started slowly moving rocks and handfuls of dirt, but they worried aloud as they worked. What if it took a long time? They didn't bring any food or water with them. Would enough air be available? What would happen to them? But they tried to encourage one another also as they kept on working and shoveling out handfuls of dirt and moving rocks. And they were chipping away at the blockage. They tried to encourage each other by pointing out that they were making some progress, but the progress was very slow. One time, when they were taking a break, David discovered that they were not alone in the cave. A large tortoise was keeping them company. In a lighter moment, they named him Torty. The family continued to dig, but as the hours started to pile up, their thirst became maddening. All they could think about was how thirsty they were. Then Madison discovered something amazing. A single drop of water would fall from the ceiling above the tortoise, but before it could hit the ground, the tortoise's tongue would dart out and catch that drop of water, just so. Then the tortoise's tongue would retract, and it would happen over and over again with every drop of water that fell from the ceiling. Emily watched that tortoise carefully, and the tortoise's wise eyes seemed to say to Emily, "This is how you may survive. Slow down, be patient, look, take in your surroundings, notice everything, work steadily, be calm, be ready." The tortoise showed Emily and her family how they could survive. By working hard and following the tortoise's example, calmly, they eventually dug their way to freedom. Madison and David and their parents would always remember the example of the tortoise, who was calmly surviving in that cave by wits, observation, and careful action. It is now the time in the service where we invite you to give your offerings. There's a PayPal link that is posted on the webpage on YouTube. And the congregation, still needs your contributions to keep the doors open, even in this time of pandemic, maybe now especially more so. We thank all of you who give of your time, of your talent, and of your treasure. Thank you. And Matt will play "Come Sing a Song with Me" for the offertory instrumentally. us now enter a time of meditation. Today's sermon, it will be called Gathering Coconuts, and it's all about mindfulness. And I'd like to offer a few different opportunities to practice mindfulness in the service. This first one will be the playing of my singing bowl, followed by Spirit of Life, instrumentally played in a meditative way. And when I play my singing bowl, I invite you to just sit back and breathe and be present and be with this community in whatever place you are. You can listen to the sound of your breath and feel your heart beating and hear the sound of the singing bowl, and just let peace settle in. Amen and blessed be. There is a kind of veined octopus that lives in the waters of Indonesia that gathers coconuts and transports them in order to later use the shells for shelter. They have been observed preparing the coconut shells by cleaning them out, carrying them long distances up to 65 feet, and reassembling them for protective shelter in a different place. The whole process is a rather tricky one. In order to move the shells, an octopus must first stack them up and wrap its body over them, and then the octopus has to stick its arms out over the edges of the coconuts and walk around as if on stilts until they reach their destination, or unless a predator comes. Octopuses of many species are known for their intelligence. In captivity, they've been known to navigate mazes, seem to be able to remember past events, and are cunning escape artists. However, this is an example of tool use, which a research biologist says has never been recorded in invertebrates before. Amazing. Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche says, in the garden of gentle sanity, may you be bombarded by the coconuts of wakefulness. May you be bombarded by the coconuts of wakefulness. Are you willing to work on getting the coconuts of wakefulness with the same kind of effort the veined octopus displays in getting their coconuts for shelter? The first thing you need to remember if you are going to gather coconuts is that you need to be mindful and present to the work you are doing. You need to be aware of where the trees are. You have to know when the coconuts are ripe, and you need to watch out that you don't get hit in the head or fall out of the coconut tree. You don't want to end up like the alphabet letters in the children's book, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, who all fell out of the coconut tree at the end of the book. But seriously, you need to be very aware in order to harvest coconuts. In order to gather them, people commonly climb the tree with the help of a rope ring around their feet or ankles, or by using a ladder. On reaching the top, the climber taps the nut in the lowermost branch with a harvesting knife to test to see if the coconut is mature. If it is mature, then the bunch at the base of the stalk is cut and dropped to the ground, or the branches are lowered by using a rope. In places where the trees are not tall, harvesting can be done by cutting the branches with a knife attached to a long bamboo pole. As you can see, these processes require the full attention of the harvester. And for those who have just joined us, we're talking about coconut trees and how to harvest coconuts, and how you have to be very mindful to harvest coconuts because you don't want to fall out of the tree or get hit in the head by the coconuts. And why am I talking about coconuts? It's because of a quote that says that, may you be bombarded by the coconuts of wakefulness. May you be bombarded by the coconuts of wakefulness. Why I'm repeating this is because we have some snow shovelers today, and one of whom just came in, and I wanted him to hear the gist of the service, or for any of you who have just tuned in online. So the coconut harvesting requires the full attention of the harvester. If we are going to gather the coconuts of wakefulness or mindfulness, as well as having our full attention, we need to have the right attitude as well. If you don't get out of bed because you don't believe you're going to find any coconuts, you are not going to find any coconuts. If you think, I probably won't find very many coconuts today, you probably won't look very hard, and you probably won't get very many coconuts. But if you have an attitude of expecting good things, you'll probably find good things, whether they come in hard, round shells or in some other form. W.H. Murray in the Scottish Himalayan expedition said, "The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too." The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. One of my favorite quotes, actually. If your intention is to find coconuts, and you are committed to finding coconuts, You might even find them floating to you on the waves of the ocean. Psychologist Ellen Langer defines mindfulness as being aware enough to notice new things, subtle changes in ourselves and in our environment. The more we notice, the more we become aware of how things change depending on the context and perspective from which they are viewed. Mindfulness requires that we give up the fixed ways in which we've learned to look at the world. A few years ago, this psychologist and a conductor collaborated on an experiment using a full symphony orchestra. Members of the Arizona State University Orchestra were asked to play Brahms' First Symphony twice. The first time, they were given the following instructions. Think about the finest performance of this piece that you can remember. Play it that way. The second time, the orchestra was told, play this piece in the finest manner you can, offering subtle new nuances in your performance. Do you think there would be any major difference between the two performances? These performances were judged by an audience who was knowledgeable about classical music. They consistently rated the second performance as better than the first. Why do you suppose that was? According to Ellen Langer, the critical difference was mindfulness. She explained that the first set of instructions led the orchestra to reproduce a fixed past performance from memory, taking their attention away from the present moment. In the second performance, the orchestra was invited to express new nuances, which meant they needed to be mindfully aware in the present as they played. The audience also said there was more energy in the second performance. This was reported in The Marriage of Mozart and Mindfulness by Tom Jacobs. I invite you to do a mindfulness exercise with me right now. This exercise was adapted from Kathleen Hayden. You may close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Let's start with all taking a breath together. And then 2 more breaths. I invite you to focus all of your attention on your feet. Notice how they feel, warm or cool, heavy or light, whatever. Don't try to relax your feet. Just pay attention to the sensations in your feet right now. Feel where and how your feet make contact with the floor. Now, widen your awareness to include your legs as well as your feet. As before, just notice the physical sensations in the area you're focusing on. How do your legs feel? Keep the awareness on your feet and your legs. And I invite you to gradually expand your field of attention to include your whole body. How does the middle of your body feel? Keep breathing as you notice the sensations in your body. Notice your feet, your legs, the middle of your body. Now notice your arms, your shoulders, your neck. How does your head feel? Hold the sensations from your feet all the way up to your head. Become fully aware of how your body feels right now. Feel where you make contact with the floor, where you make contact with a chair or pew. Be present to your body. Now I invite you to pay attention to the sounds you hear around you. What sounds do you hear? As you listen for the sounds, I invite you to keep awareness of the physical sensations in your body. What sounds do you hear? Finally, if you have your eyes closed, I invite you to open them and look around with your eyes. What do you see in your field of vision? Notice the colors, the shapes. If you see any people or animals or plants, the furnishings in the building, the things you might see outside a window, if it's in your field of vision. Take it all in. Notice that you can see while still listening and sensing your body. You can open your field of awareness and feel your body and listen and see. Do you notice any smells? Do you taste anything? Look, listen, feel, sense, smell, right here, right now. Let everything go except what you're experiencing in the present moment. Breathe. How do you feel? How do you feel with your awareness focused on the present? I invite you to continue listening to my words now. Some people report that following these steps has the effect of helping them feel more peaceful and grounded. Sometimes it can take a little practice, so don't worry about it if your mind wandered. The nice thing about this technique is that you can use it just about anywhere. The more you practice, the easier it will get. Actually, one of my favorite times to practice mindfulness is when I'm waiting in line at the grocery store. Until I started doing this, it felt like wasted time, just waiting for my turn, watching the people in front of me. But now I like to think of the floor beneath my feet as I'm standing there. I then continue my awareness down below my feet and think about the foundation of the building below the floor. And even more of the earth under and supporting the building where I'm standing. The earth is supporting me as I'm standing there, even though I can't see it or directly feel the earth. And thinking of the earth supporting me is very amazing because the earth is made up of the remains of a multitude of living organisms, as well as rocks and minerals. We are literally supported by all those animals and plants, all the organisms who have lived before us. It is much more peaceful to think of myself grounded in and on the earth than anxiously counting how many items the shopper in front of me has on the belt. It's a work in progress for all of us. Some people report that at traffic lights is a good time for them to be mindfully aware of what's going on, instead of, again, anxiously waiting for the light to change. Just settle in. It's a moment to practice mindfulness. And we can build many of these moments in our lives if we choose to. A mindful attitude will keep you grounded in the present, where you know where you are and where the coconuts in your life are at all times. You are literally grounded in the present. And when you accept this mindfulness challenge and are in the present, you aren't regretting the past or worrying about the future. A lot of the grief we bring into our lives comes from when we regret the past or worry about the future. So the more we can live in the present moment, the happier we'll be in general, I believe. Yes, we need to plan for the future, but worrying itself does really no good. So let's be mindful. All we really have is the present moment and how we respond to it. There's no guarantees that we're going to have future moments, and the past moments are no more. How do we respond in each present moment? No matter how uncomfortable the bus ride, or how horrendous the cold takeout food is, or how saggy the bed. This moment will never come again. This moment will never come again. Living in the past or the future drains some of our energy from the present. Noticing what is in our range of vision, in our eardrums, in the sensations in our bodies, the subtle changes and even the mundane parts of our lives. These things will keep us mindfully aware and more engaged in life. There's one other point about mindfulness I'd like to share with you. Mindfulness can also help us grow in compassion. If there's anything the world needs right now, I think it's more compassion, more kindness. And with an attitude of mindfulness, we can learn to respond more compassionately in each moment. We can choose compassionate choices when we might be tempted to react if we're not being mindful. The Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh says, to be mindful means to dwell deeply in the present moment. To be mindful means to dwell deeply in the present moment. To be aware of what is going on within and around us. Practicing mindfulness cultivates understanding, love, compassion, and joy. This practice helps us take care of and transform suffering in our own lives and in our society. So let's gather these coconuts of wakefulness and let's build mindful practices in our lives. Amen and blessed be. It is now the time in the service where we share the joys and concerns and milestones in our lives. A few people have written in with their candles of joy and a few concerns. The first candle is from Bill, a candle of those who are challenged in developing their spiritual lives by lack of basic human needs and resources. Thinking of those who are challenged in those ways. I also want to light a candle for Bill because I've heard he's not feeling well today. And then we have some joys. A candle of celebration for Sam's 18th birthday from Ben and Celia. Happy birthday, Sam. I hope you folks will come out later for the wreath sale. And a candle of joy for the amazing work from the Wreath Committee, the wreath sale this afternoon from 12 to 3. Thank you for your work to support this church, from Ken. And I second that. It's been a wonderful team effort to create this wreath sale. And we hope many of you will come out. It's from 12 to 3 today, and even if you are not able to buy a wreath, we hope you'll just come by and say hello and see some of your fellow parishioners and meet me or get to spend time a little bit of time with us today. And I think those are all the ones that were written in. I have another one. My daughter Melissa is here with us today, and she is graduating from Dean College this month. So yay, Melissa. Finally, I would like to light the last candle for those things that remain unspoken in our hearts and minds. And I have a couple announcements. I mentioned the wreath sale today, so please come out. I would love to meet you or get to know you a little bit better. I'll be here all afternoon from 12 to 3, and it'd be great for you to meet some of our other parishioners or get to know them a little bit better if you come and chat with us a bit. We'll practice social distancing, and we have some really lovely wreaths too. Two other announcements are that we are having a mindfulness hike next Sunday at 2 p.m. at West Hill Dam. I think that's what it's called, right? West Hill Dam. 2 p.m. next Sunday. Our parishioner Ron Woodall has offered to lead this. So hope many of you can come out. Let me know or let Ron know if you can attend, or if you don't have our contact information, you can even write it on the church contact form on the website. But we'd love to see some of you out for this mindfulness hike next Sunday. Additionally, we're having a Christmas Eve service at 4 p.m. outside the church on Christmas Eve. It will be socially distanced, and we will have music, and we will have a nice time together outside, and it'll be a great time for families. Invite your families and friends, and it's something different this year. We thought we'd have an in-person, outside, socially distanced service, but still celebrate the joy of the season. So 4 p.m. on Christmas Eve. And finally, I wanted to thank the snow shovelers today. We had some people that were out there shoveling snow that missed all or part of the service to get the parking lot ready for church and for the wreath sale. So thank you so much, snow shovelers. We really appreciate it. And hope you can view the service online, those of you that missed it. We will now extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the chalice, but we carry with us the peace of this community, the peace that comes from deep within, and the love and care of this community. We carry those things always with us. We will have the benediction and then the serenity prayer. Go in peace, go in mindfulness, go in love, until we gather together again. And let us say this serenity prayer together. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I'll turn it over to Matt.
This will be a Rachmaninoff prelude in D major. great week.
You too.